Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Here we fucking go.
Oh yeah, G2, baby.
Yeah, it was gonna happen one of these days.
Have we done G1?
And now it has. No,
it's okay. We can skip right to G2.
Yeah, I've seen this movie more than G1. Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Gremlins 2.
The new batch.
The new batch. Yeah, that's what they are.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
That's... Man.
You talking about putting Hulk Hogan, professional wrestler turned actor, turned cultural icon in the movie where he break the fourth wall of the movie he's in by talking to the audience. You, sir, are a raging psychopath. Don't let this town take that away from you.
My goodness.
What a picture.
Holy moly. Vincent, our Patreon producer. Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you.
Vincent gave us a list to choose from. We originally chose a different film, but I couldn't fucking find it.
Yeah,
I want to...
It's interesting. We picked The Burbs initially. We were going to do The Burbs, but instead we did this, which is also a Joe Dante film, and there's a couple of people from The Burbs who have cameos in this movie.
That's true. But it was pretty fucked up that The Burbs isn't available online.
That's weird.
Fucks me up. I might have to buy a DVD.
Do I need to buy the DVD of The Burbs? Maybe I do.
Yeah. But yeah, this isn't The Burbs. This is Gremlins 2.
It's Gremlins 2.
I've only seen Gremlins 1 like once in my life.
Really?
Gremlins 2 I've seen plenty of times.
I watched the first one a bunch. We had it on VHS.
See, we had this on VHS.
I mean,
or rather, my friend did. So we watched this a bunch.
I have also seen this movie a lot, but I hadn't seen it recently. It had been several years since I'd seen this. So obviously everybody remembers how fucking out of its mind this movie is. It's celebrated for being just jack shit crazy.
Right.
But like sitting down to watch it again, like I had actually managed to forget a few things about how fucking wild this movie is.
Because your brain like protects you from it, you know?
Well, yeah. This might be my favorite sequel ever made.
Yeah.
Like, I love the vibe of this sequel where it's just like, fuck it. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to make a sequel that parodies the first film. Yeah.
It's an amazing sequel about how corporate futurism is ushering in the surveillance state and is right.
Mm-hmm. It's very, every piece, not every piece of satire, but every satirical thing this movie says about corporate structure and capitalism is just a thing we accept as being fine today.
Yep. This movie is about something. And that I wish for that Some More News movie, I wish I paid more attention to this movie because watching it, I immediately was like, oh my God, this is about something. Because it starts with the Chinatown in New York. That becomes, I believe, the Fox studio very quickly.
Yeah.
I know this was shot in Los Angeles. I'm almost certain Nakatomi Tower is the tower. I'm not certain. Yeah.
Well, yeah. You see the little crazy gremlin is sitting on top of a model of the building that's supposed to be Clamp Tower, and it's very clearly Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah, which is the reason why is because that's the Fox Plaza. They're just shooting where they work. It's also, for people who don't know, the base of it is where the radio station from Airheads is. Mm-hmm. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But anywho, so it starts with Daniel Clamp, who's a real estate ghoul from New York.
Yeah.
who may or may not be a Donald Trump type, wants to bulldoze Chinatown and create this new plaza, this very futuristic new one. And of course, this old man with the gremlin,
with the Mogwai, with the gizmo,
with the gizmo, with the Howie Mandel, is the last holdout. He dies, and they bulldoze it over, and Gizmo gets kidnapped. And it's that right away is the idea of like, look at this old built-in architecture getting replaced by like boring beige futurist architecture. And like, that is a problem. You know, you walk around a city now and you're like, man, remember when we had like gargoyles and shit?
Yeah.
Like, what happened? You know?
You remember when cities were like vibrant and had like a personality and everything wasn't just designed to be sleek? It's also commenting on just the nature of Gremlins 2 existing. Because like, when we last left Gizmo, he was living happily ever after. Like, the whole point was Gizmo was not meant to be out in the world. Like, it's right. Mogwais are magical creatures that can't be trusted with people because people are irresponsible and can't take care of him. So he's safely back with the shop owner and living happily ever after as far as that last movie was concerned. And then this movie is a bunch of Wall Street ghouls, like media ghouls, corporate bean counters bursting in, knocking the building down, and dragging Gizmo out of there.
Yeah.
So it's just like, we're making a sequel to Gremlins, you fucker.
Yeah, they talk about it a few times. They're like, isn't it great when business and art merge? Yeah. And that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a very deliberate film.
Yeah. Every piece
it's about
of it.
How like the unique of this world, the unique and well crafted of this world is always eventually bulldozed, and what's remaining gets pulled out and commercialized.
Yeah, he literally.
And the Gremlins kind of represent the revenge of that. Like, that eventually gets squashed out.
Yeah, that sort of gleeful anarchic spirit. And like Clamp at the end is literally like looking at Gizmo and saying, "I see a doll with suction cup hands."
Yeah. Surprisingly, Clamp isn't portrayed as a monster.
I read about that.
He's portrayed more of like a force of nature.
He's really naive. It's like he doesn't... And that's... Which still is authentic to the satire because he's completely aloof. He doesn't even consider that what he's doing might be bad.
Yeah, what they do is, and this is a very common trope, is they have the billionaire, every time a good thing is proposed to them, they frame it like a headline. Which is a big, that's such a trope where it's like, billionaire saves city. I see it now. So it's for him, it's all about the headlines. It just happens that coincides with doing good things.
Yeah. And what I read about that portrayal was that's not how the character was written. The character was written as a villain.
Because his name is Clamp and their logo is a clamp crushing
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the actor, John Glover, decided to play it this way, and apparently Joe Dante agreed with it because from what I read, he said it just made because the film is, it is about something, and it is a pretty incisive satire. But it is also really light, and it's like just a big Looney Tunes cartoon, which they let you know right off the...
Begins with a Looney
Tunes cartoon. They actually got Chuck Jones out of retirement to direct that.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Joe Dante felt that like lightening up Clamp was probably better just to make the movie kind of lighter, because it's not really a super dark movie, unlike the first one, which is dark as shit.
Yeah, which is interesting because this movie doesn't have villains. Like, technically the Gremlins are villains, but they make them very fun. In fact, they're sympathetic. They just want to live.
Yeah.
They just want to live.
Yeah.
And that's the tragedy of this movie. They have the doctor from Voyager, and
Robert Picardo.
He gets the villain ending, which is to say he gets raped by a gremlin.
No, he doesn't.
He's into it.
Yeah, he decides to fuck that gremlin.
Right, but is that what's it called? Fuck. With the kidnappers.
Helsinki or Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm, thank you.
Maybe.
Is that Stockholm Syndrome?
Maybe.
Because he's like, he knows it's going to happen no matter what, so he might as well like cozy up to the idea of penetrating a gremlin.
Sure.
But Yeah, you could interpret that in multiple ways.
Yeah.
He's definitely assaulted before that because he's covered in lipstick.
It's one of the weird ass jokes that movies constantly did in this time period.
Oh yeah. It's it's like a cartoon. It's Roger Rabbit, a man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the point being that there isn't a clear villain, and I do think if Clamp was a villain, that probably would have not made. I think it would have made it worse because you fully expect him to be a villain.
Yeah.
And the people around him, like this is actually what makes it really good because it's accidentally a commentary on people like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Who I don't think Elon Musk, like, I don't think he for the most part, I don't think he directly goes, "Mwahaha, I will fire these people," or "I'm going to do this." It's that he's a fucking child. Like, that's the problem, is that he thinks he's really amazing and smart, and he's not, and he's more aloof, and he gets bored really quickly, and he's like a bulldozer through lives, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he has a big ego. I'm not saying he's a good guy, Elon Musk, and I don't think rich people are particularly sympathetic, but they do this thing where it's like everybody around Clamp is like, we can't decorate our offices. Like, it's all very like, it's dystopian, this office. And they're all like scared of Clamp. And then when you meet Clamp, it's very clear that he just has so much power that it's actually it's a better message where it's like, even the nicest billionaire is still a tyrant.
You're so,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're so insulated by power.
Yeah. And so it actually makes it better that he's not a villain.
I love all the stuff about like grind culture in this too. Like the character Marla is constantly obsessing over productivity. Like at the end when they talk to her, it's like she's going to be on the news. And they're like, so what can you say happened? She's like, oh, it was unbelievable. It was so horrifying, the loss of productivity. Like we had to literally stop working. And then they do that thing where they the bad guy from The Burbs is taking a secret smoke break. And they find him on camera, and Robert Picardo is like, that's an unauthorized break, you're fired. Amazon literally fucking does that.
Yeah.
Like, so it's
and again, the high tech, this was before its time, because the idea is the building is overly automated, right? And so they do this,
and none of it works correctly.
Exactly. And they do stuff where it's like, oh, the lights shut off automatically. You got to jiggle around. Oh, the automatic doors don't work. Everything is built for efficiency, and so it doesn't work. And that reminds me of the Tesla.
Yeah.
The Tesla car, where it's like, how do you even open it? How do you open the glove box? Oh, you got to go on the screen and like press this button.
Yeah.
It's this tech pro world that they nailed without even knowing. Where everything is supposed to be technologically advanced, and it just doesn't work. And in the end, all it takes is some gremlins pulling the fucking plug. Yeah,
and it's to the point where it's like it's just technology for the sake of technology. Like it's like we've already pointed out, it actually hinders productivity. It's not terribly functional, but it's super high tech.
Yeah,
so this movie should not still be relevant.
Yeah. This is a movie that's it's like Super Mario Brothers, where you look at it a little longer and you're like, oh, fuck, this is about something, and it's something relevant
and
today.
It's something that has only gotten worse, like so worse to the point that this isn't really satire. Like the moments that are supposed to be satire, like the guy getting fired for taking an unauthorized break, that shit is just real life now.
Yeah. This is Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Like this is because Jeff Bezos, if you've ever like listened to an interview with him, he just sounds like a dude, and he's just so like laid back. But then of course he's running this horrifying empire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what Clamp is that like, if you meet him, it's like, yeah, he's personable. You know, there's a reason millionaires or billionaires are like, there's a reason they like, it certainly isn't hard work and talent, but there's a reason they got by, because they're probably a fairly nice person.
Charisma is involved, yeah.
Yeah. But also a diamond mind, or an emerald mine.
Yeah. I'm not saying charisma for Elon.
Yeah, no. It's not necessary to have charisma.
No. Sometimes all you need is billions of dollars of generational wealth.
Yeah, to become a billionaire.
Yeah.
or to invest in banks, but online. But
to just buy your way onto boards and then be like, I invented this. Anyhow.
Yeah. So, but like the portrayal of Clamp, it would have been so much easier for them to make him a villain, and it's just better because he's still a villain.
Yeah,
he's just not a bad person. Is the idea, you know?
Yeah, he's an amalgamation of a lot of people, but like the two primary figures of that time were Donald Trump and Ted Turner. And he's definitely more Ted Turner.
Yeah, and he's fascinating. The portrayal. Yeah. This actor, he makes the movie so much more interesting. Yeah. Because of that. Because he's like a child. And he's wrecking up the place, but he means well. And it's an interesting version.
Yeah.
And then everybody is so tightly wound around him that the boss who's just smoking, she, like, the moment Clamp compliments our main character, she wants to fuck him. Yeah. Because she's just so attracted to the idea of power.
She wants to,
that this is someone that power touched. Yeah. That's it. And she's like, that's enough for me.
Yeah, that's it. Like, she's talking to, like, he just comes over to Billy's workstation. It's like, that's a really nice painting. What's your name? Bill. Bill, great work. See, this we need more work like this. And she takes that brief encounter. You know, for all she knows, Clamp is going to forget his name as soon as he leaves the room. But she's like, this is it. I'm going to ride your coattails to the top. This means we're going to get our own offices. And yeah.
There's also, Tom, messages about COVID in this movie, which is that when the outbreak happens, people still work. Yeah. This is, depending on your conspiracy theories, this is about a lab that accidentally run by Christopher Lee that accidentally creates this situation. A leak at the lab.
Yep. Well,
and it infiltrates the building, and it takes people are still like working through it a little bit. Yeah. And they have to like evacuate eventually. But like it's And there's this cover-up idea. There's this idea of downplaying it. And one reporter, Dracula, leaking it. There's and this Trump-like figure trying to keep it under wraps. Yeah, it's like shit, man.
It's
shit.
Yeah,
Gremlins.
Shit. Goddamn Gremlins too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting about Christopher Lee. First of all, incredible that he's in this movie.
Yes. Well, all right. Both incredible and not. Right. Because you could go to ChristopherLee, I feel like, and pitch him this movie, and he'd be like, a creature
of course, another creature film. Yeah. Yeah. It's you look at Christopher Lee, you know, as distinguished and legendary and iconic a performer as he was, it's kind of like Denzel Washington. You look at his filmography, it's like, oh, you make mostly schlock. Okay.
Right. It's like Orson Welles being in Transformers, where you hear interviews where he's like kind of okay with it. Yeah. Where he's like, interesting. I'm it's a battle of robots. Okay.
I play this giant robot who wants power. But Christopher Lee apparently was like the opposite I just did a briefly looking up this movie because became fascinated with it all over again. Yeah. And he had the opposite thing happen that happened with John Glover and his portrayal of Clamp, where he wanted to, he assumed because it was kind of like a lighter kind of kids movie that he was going to come in and play it lighter. But Joe Dante was like, no, do mad scientist. So he's just full on mad scientist in this movie. Yeah.
And I love how they handle it, where they're like, we're not going to renew your lease. I just love how this building just has a mad scientist floor.
It's so good. There's so many small lines related to that. With like where Robert Picardo is like, he says like Billy brings up like the genetics lab or something, and then Clamp is like, oh, you see what I mean? Like, why do we have to have it's like we could have put 2 shrinks and a plastic surgeon in there.
Yes. Yeah, so good.
You wanted to put this gene crap in there, and then when they come down and meet him and they're all like fleeing because all the gremlins are loose in there, like it's so funny with Robert Picardo just being like, they've always been a troublesome tenant. Your lease is not being renewed.
But again, so good. Christopher Lee is also not portrayed as a villain. No. In the sense, he's a villain in the sense that he's testing on animals and he's doing his work is a bastard's work. But like he's very much like, what have I done?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do this.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done this.
There are things
he
man was
it.
not meant to splice.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Yeah. And it's the idea of, again, business taking this industry and being like, yeah, you can be in our building, and like it's about the machine.
Yeah,
is the villain
taking something that was organic. And
all the cogs they're all nice people, but they're part of this system where they're like, I need to lease space in this building. They're like, yeah, why not? You know, we're not discriminating.
And it's I feel like the Gremlins sort of represent creativity and artistry. Yep,
because here's the thing. So there's two characters that I want to point out: Christopher Lee and Dracula.
Yeah, whatever.
Who's that? Yeah,
I forget. I don't remember the actor's name. He's also in Last Action Hero. He's been in a lot.
He is. They both represent old Hollywood, specifically old horror.
Yeah.
And Christopher Lee is where the Gremlins, the lab that it all comes from. So it is like it's the revenge of like old classic Hollywood in a way. And then the Dracula is the guy who like helps save the day, who's reporting on it. It's so funny that he aspires, like they're like, I'm going to make you a reporter. And he's like, that's great. And I'm like, it won't be great soon, but sure, have fun while it lasts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that he also has the line like, you know, he's sort of like at Elvira or something where he hosts like a late night horror program, and he's like, they pushed me to like 3:30 where nobody cares. And then it's like, he says, we can't show any of the good movies because Mr. Clamp hates black and white. He only wants to show movies that are in color. So it's, again, this disconnect between the actual creativity and artistry that goes into making a film and then what the bean counters want. It's like, well, we just want another Gremlins. Like, well, I sort of felt like Gremlins is a complete story. Like, we want another Gremlins, okay?
Okay, you want to market the shit out of this, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what they want. They want to make it kid-friendly and more marketable and more fun. And, like, we've seen this happen to other things.
Yeah.
Like, you could argue, as good as a movie it is, that's what Terminator 2 is. Because they're like, oh, put a kid in there, you know, make it something the kids will like.
It is just a soft reboot of Terminator. Like, it's the same movie again.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah, but when you look at it on paper, you can see like the cynicism behind it, of rebooting it, of sequeling it. James Cameron just went the other way with it. He didn't go the nihilist route that Joe Dante went.
What's interesting is one last little tidbit I want to share, is that this movie, they greenlit a sequel to Gremlins as soon as the first one came out, obviously, because it was a huge hit. But Joe Dante said no. It's, you know, he said, I felt like this is a complete story. I don't think there's any reason to do a sequel. That can't be any good. So they spent like several years, because Gremlins was 84, I believe. So it was from most of the 80s where this was sort of kind of swirling around in development hell where they couldn't get anybody on board. And they finally came back to Joe Dante, and he only agreed to do it if they would give him complete creative control. He was like, yeah, let me do whatever I want. And they said, that is fine. So they don't even care that he is roasting Warner Brothers this entire movie. They just wanted a Gremlins too. Yeah, exactly. They wanted to be able to sell more Gremlin dolls.
That's sort of how this movie ends, where he's like, I see them as dolls, and he makes this big deal with the main character.
Yeah.
And the main character is just sort of like smirking it off, like, sure, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that's what it is the Clamp really represents Warner Brothers here.
Yeah.
Where he's just excited. He's excited for a business opportunity. That's it. He just sees money. He doesn't care how.
He sees a product.
Right.
Yeah.
And you think, all right, so Gremlins 3 is on IMDb. It is presumably happening. I guarantee that it will be Return to Dark. And we maybe a wink to the camera reference to Gremlins 2. Like, I think it's very funny to me that Gremlins 3 will probably do the thing that Gremlins 2 is making fun of.
I'm sure
that's
it will.
My guess.
I'm sure it will, which is a shame.
It won't be Joe Dante, you know?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what he's been up to. If it's Joe Dante, lately.
There's a chance that it'll fall into good hands and they'll understand the what happened here. But my guess, you know, if I was a betting man, I'd bet on it being completely. It's like how they're going to remake Starship Troopers, but unironically.
Oof.
That's still in the works, and I have a feeling that might fall apart.
Or like when they rebooted RoboCop.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, it's a serious movie. And it's like, no.
I feel like you missed the point.
It never was. Yeah, I have a suspicion Gremlins 3 might miss the point, too.
Yeah. I really can't, like, we mentioned Terminator 2, but I really do think that Gremlins 2 might be the greatest sequel ever made.
Yeah. Speaking of Terminator 2, the cops are in this.
The cops.
Did you notice that? Well, okay, sorry, the cop. So in Terminator 2, or no, not a cop. I'm sorry, the prison guard, the asylum, because the one who gets the finger through the thingy through the face, because that was played by twins. Because the T-1000 has to assume him. Yeah, it's two people, and they play Christopher Lee's assistant in this.
Yeah, who's the implication is that he's cloned himself.
Yeah.
There's also a fun. There's a lot of cameos in this movie.
Right, the janitor is played by Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that it was Hitler?
I think it's actually John Aston, but yeah.
Oh, okay. He had a Hitler mustache. And I was
sure
like,
did.
That's Hitler.
Jerry Goldsmith is at the yogurt stand. Obviously Leonard Maltin and Hulk Hogan. In meta cameos. This isn't really a cameo just because he wasn't really famous yet, but Dean Norris is the SWAT team guy that shoots the dead gremlin on the ground.
Of course he is. Dean Norris is always the SWAT team guy.
Such a fucking Dean Norris move.
It is. It really is. I want to talk about Hulk Hogan real quick. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Hulk Hogan.
Because the move they pull is straight out of it's really funny because I was thinking, imagine seeing this in theaters. They fake out the film burning.
Yes.
And then the gremlins come up. That must have been fucking awesome in theaters because you would have genuinely thought the film burnt.
Yeah, they didn't want to let him do it, so he had to arrange a screening specifically to see whether or not this joke would work or whether people would actually get up and leave. And obviously it worked because it's still in the movie.
Yeah, because even if people started getting up to leave, there's not enough time.
There's not enough time, right? But it is like legitimately. Because you're not the movie's been wacky up to this point, but it hasn't like stepped outside of itself.
Smashes the fourth wall.
Yeah,
it reminded me of another movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yep.
That smashes the fourth wall as well, and in a way that you don't expect, and it's this exact same beat. Which obviously Everything Everywhere took it from Gremlins. But it's just very funny that this is now in art house films, in films that we're like in love with. The part that baffles me, and I know why he's in it, but I also kind of don't know why he's in it, is when then Hulk Hogan has to restart the film. It's like, why are you in this? I mean, I get that. Again, it's just as many cameos as possible. This is about the Disney-fication of Gremlins. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, why not throw in Hulk Hogan, you know?
Yeah, why not? And they needed a tough guy. He was very, very famous, but probably still affordable.
Yeah.
What's interesting is, if you remember, and you probably do since you said you watched this on VHS, they changed that gag for VHS.
Did they? I don't remember.
It's because I'm not sure exactly why. I guess
they should change it for the digital copy.
They should. From what I understand, both versions are on DVDs now. But rather than having the film break in a theater, they have the Gremlins fuck with your VCR.
Yeah,
and
that's
start
great.
Changing the channel, and then they wind up changing the channel into an old John Wayne movie. I think it's Chisholm.
Wow. And
he ends up shooting them, and they get like a John Wayne sound alike to provide his voice in that scene, and then the movie resumes.
That's so fucking cool.
Yeah, so they actually changed it for VHS so that it would actually look like the VHS breaking.
Hashtag update Gremlins 2.
Yeah.
I want a version where I want it for whatever it's streaming on. I want it to seem like an error, a streaming error. And then I don't know, fucking, yeah, just have like the fucking Paul Hollywood from British Bake Off have to deal with the Gremlins. I want that.
Yeah.
I want that for Gremlins too.
Yeah. Dave, this movie is so good. It's
so good.
All right, so we've talked a lot about like the content of the film. But what like what it's about and like its themes and the way it's executed, I love how fucking chaotic this movie is. It's so like Joe Dante's always been kind of that, and this is just like so pure, just Joe Dante getting to riff, and I love that. The thing that I really noticed this time is how fucking good the effects are.
They're amazing.
They're fucking incredible in this movie.
There's a oneer where everybody's getting fucked up by gremlins.
Yeah.
And it's going through a hallway and out and like a guy falls. And I thought, how amazing was that day? Where it's filled with stuntmen, puppeteers, and like all this effects, like environmental effects, like steam and fire. And it's like, what a fucking amazing... I would give so much money to be on that set for that day and see that happen. It was so good.
The puppets look so good. The puppetry is great. The stop motion is really good. Like it's blended really well. Like this movie,
the fucking gargoyle, like that whole sequence where he attacks the extremely traumatized father.
Yeah, Murray Futterman. Fucking, they do a giant winged gremlin attack outside on the street in the middle of the day. And it looks good. It looks good. And they do it like I never noticed before. And I'm not sure why, but it's
seamless.
When
you think about other movies around this time, and when they do stuff like this, where it's like even if the movie's good, they still don't quite like Ghostbusters, where it's like when the dogs come alive, there's some shots where you're like, oof, that didn't look good. They didn't pull that off. You know what I mean?
A little bit. But yeah, this like had a much bigger budget than I realized. And it must be all of this effects work, because man, I really can't overstate. Like the gremlins look so good, and the puppets are cool as shit. And they do the thing when the gremlins get wet this time, and the little pustules form on their back. You can actually see the tiny gremlins inside those things, and those things are being puppeted.
Right.
It's great.
It's incredible.
It's so good. Like I never noticed it before.
It's such a good,
This is like a really good effects movie. Even
it's a masterpiece.
Even the electricity gremlin, it's like old.
It's an animation, and it looks great.
It looks so fucking good. It's like integrated into the shot so well, like it's seamless, like you said.
Yeah.
Goddamn, this movie.
They pay off they electric all the gremlins using his own kind.
Yep.
The gremlins who, again, they just want to visit New York.
Yeah.
That's the tragedy of the gremlins, is that they didn't do anything wrong. Like they're just existing, and like, they're little scamps, they're little troublemakers. But they don't kill anybody. They maul people.
I mean, they kill Christopher Lee.
Yeah, they do. But look at what he did.
They sure try to kill people.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
But like, they're just hungry. They're hungry little guys, and they just they're singing New York, New York at the end. They're celebrating. They're just so happy. And at the end of it made me sad when the intellectual one is singing New York, New York as he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad. How did that one know Marathon Man was a movie?
I don't know. They all just have an awareness of pop culture.
Yeah, the dentist is it safe? And I was like, huh.
He sure does.
It's weird that he saw Marathon Man since existing.
I love that one of the gremlins looks like a fucking dock worker.
Yeah. It's a gremlin for everyone.
Looks like he owes a whole lot of money and around town.
And then the one that's just stupid as shit. It's just googly-eyed gremlin. It's like, what the fuck is this? That woman is racist for thinking that was Gizmo.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's not Gizmo.
Phoebe Cates does not remember what Gizmo looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's been a few years.
That's fair.
She didn't spend that much time around Gizmo.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it is funny that she picks up a creature that is absolutely not Gizmo.
Yeah. It's Gizmo with a severe head injury.
It's
Gizmo
not on speed, man.
Yeah,
like that
brings
gremlin,
that fucking monster home.
That gremlin's heart is beating fucking 1,000 times a minute.
Yeah, They also do the meta thing where they have her start talking about
the Lincoln's birthday. Yeah. Oh my god.
And then the part where they start questioning like feeding it after midnight, which I forgot the button on that, which is a gremlin bursts out of the controls.
Sure does.
And just fucks them up, and it is brutal.
It is. It's that and the spider are the two most intense parts of the movie. Yeah. Man, that spider. Yeah,
well, you have to teach Gizmo to kill, and the spider's a good first kill for Gizmo.
Yeah.
And then he does he take another life, Gizmo?
No,
I think the end
he roasts this thing and that's it.
Yeah. This is good. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't do a good job at not getting wet. I mean, that's partially Hitler's fault, but it's like he could avoid
right. It's like he's rooted to the floor there. It's like, dude, what are you waiting?
What are you, a puppet?
Yeah. What are you, some kind of doll?
Yeah. God, this movie rocks.
It really does.
If you haven't seen this movie, it obviously there's a certain sketch about this movie about how batshit the movie is, but then when you watch it, it does all kind of make sense. Mm-hmm. That's what's incredible about it, is realizing what it's about. That it's about, taking a film that's unique like Gremlins and basically like injecting corporate greed into it and being like, yeah, you want that? Here's what that is. Everybody gets a gremlin. Oh, there's a bat gremlin. Oh, there's a lady gremlin. Like, that is very much on purpose,
Yeah.
So like it works. In the end, it just like really works as a sequel. It has some problems as a narrative, but I don't think it cares. Like the part where he goes to jail felt really useless when it was like he gets arrested, goes to jail, and they just cut to her bailing him out and they go back to the building. And I was like, well, why even do that?
To give the gremlins time to hatch. Because Billy knows what's going on, so he would be looking for the eggs.
I would say detain him in a they have if Target has cells, which is fucked up, but like it's like they could have like a security hold in the building. Just do that. You know what I mean? Like just have him in a cell in the building, and he's like yelling to the doctor, "You got to believe me." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's just a slightly more efficient way of doing it. It's not a big note. It was just like the weirdest moment for me.
Yeah, and it's also solved with a single shot.
Yeah.
Like it's like a oneer of, it just shows some mimes getting taken out of the paddy wagon.
What do you think those mimes did?
Oh.
Hate crime? Do you think it was a hate crime? What did they do?
Multiple murder.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they're all serial killers.
Yeah.
They're clowns, Dave.
Oh, yeah, they're just different killers who happen to all be mimes.
They happen to all be mimes. They all went with the same motif.
Yeah. What a weird thing to put in.
Yeah.
into this.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's wall-to-wall gags. Like, every scene has a gag in it.
Yeah. Every single one has, like, a weird thing.
Yep. Movie's out of its mind.
When they get wet.
Yes.
And they reproduce. Mm-hmm. Does that feel good for them? Because it seems to feel good.
It doesn't seem to in the first one, or when Gizmo is shooting balls out of his back.
In this one, they're like, oh, like it feels kind of like they're coming.
Of course.
A little bit.
I would like to think they're coming, because I want them to have a good time.
Me too. And they seem to be having a good time. Yeah. They're having the best time of anybody in the movie.
Yeah, they sure are. And there's nothing like coming 10 times out of your back.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anywho, at the end, this is part of the broader message. At the end, Daniel Clamp sees his home, the picture he drew of his hometown, and he's like, "That's what I want, a slowed down life." And he's going to Disneyfy small town.
Yeah,
but he sort of learned the lesson. He says, "You make a place for things, things come," which I like.
Yeah, he sort of realized that he didn't build a building for people to exist in.
Yeah, he built it for things.
Yeah.
Neat idea.
Yeah. Profound, Dave. Profound.
Profound film.
It's
about gremlins.
A soulless building he's realized he's created.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, I don't know, maybe a movie studio demanding a soulless sequel
to
a movie. that didn't need a sequel.
Yeah.
Really kind of left no room for one.
Yeah.
Really felt like that story was complete.
Yeah, what studio was this?
Warner Brothers.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Warner Brothers...
all the Looney Tunes? And then, like, the one gremlin literally
right.
gets the WB shield tattooed on his chest.
Well, someone pointed out recently, have you noticed that in recent Warner Brothers movies, they are the villain of their own movies? The Matrix, they're the villain in the new Matrix.
Space Jam, they're the villain.
Space Jam, they're the new villain. There's one other. Like, they really need a fucking... Like, it's clear this is a long-term problem for them because in Gremlins, they are also the villain. And so it's like, shit, maybe you guys need to rethink your entire approach. If the movies you're forcing people to make keep writing you as the villain in the movies, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Because that is Warner Brothers, right? That's been their technique forever now, is suck the marrow. Oh, you liked Harry Potter? Let's do a bunch more Harry Potters.
Yeah, all the really garbage Superman sequels.
Yeah. It's clear that the Wachowskis, it's clear that from the Matrix Resurrections that they came to them and said, we're making a sequel.
This is going to
want to be involved.
Yeah, this is going to happen whether you're on board or not. Do you want to be on board? Yeah.
Yeah, and I would argue they Joe Dante'd it in a way.
Yeah. I didn't love it, but I think they did as best as...
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was only one of the Wachowskis that came back, but...
It's Lana? Did she do it?
I'm sorry, I don't remember which of the Wachowskis
Lana,
it was.
Yeah.
I think
Apologies
you're right.
to the Wachowskis.
I think you're right.
But, like, it's clear, like, she tried to make a good film, but she also included the Joe Dante of it. Like, yeah. It's just funny how, like, take the hint.
Yeah, it's again, I wish this wasn't still relevant, but it also ties back to the bad guy always being soulless corporate capitalism. Right. And it's just, not only have we not evolved, it's just, the problem's just gotten worse.
Yeah, that was what the whole Some More News movie was about, about how Donald Trump, in our childhood, all the boomers making movies was like, he's the villain.
He's the bad guy. He was the shorthand for a villain for 30 years of movies.
And then they're like, hey, let's vote for him. And it's like, did you not watch the movies that you made for us growing up?
Yeah.
Like, he is the villain. We went the wrong way with that stuff. Or at least a portion of the country did. And this movie is a good reminder of that, which is like, it goes hand in hand. It's all the things.
I think a lot of it's, franchise culture where people are huge. There's fandoms around franchises now, and like,
right.
People standing movie studios. And
it's all swimming the same ideas.
Yeah, and then billionaire
the
fandoms.
Tech bro world. Yeah, the tech bro world is now crossing over into the conservative realm in a bunch of ways. When this comes out, I think Some More News will have already done a Peter Thiel episode, and that's a big one because he also funded PayPal with Elon Musk and is now funding politicians. Like, those worlds are converging. It's business leaking into other things that it shouldn't be leaking into is always bad. Capitalism shouldn't be a part of our government and shouldn't be a big part of our entertainment. That's what Gremlins 2 is all about, baby. Oh, fuck. I did not expect this conversation as going to be as prevalent in our Gremlins 2 episode.
Gremlins 2 is great.
But that's what it's about. You don't feed it after midnight. You can't get it wet. It's about rules. It's about not crossing over, because if two things combine, that's not necessarily a good thing. And that's what this is about.
Yeah.
Again, art and business, they keep saying it, and it's like, that's not good. It doesn't, it's necessary. Like, you have to, in order to create art, you need you need to make money.
You need a patron, yeah.
Yeah, but there needs to be a big wall between those two departments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
hard though, because the people giving the money have to be convinced of the art, and the people who make money and who are business people aren't, bless their hearts, they aren't necessarily artists or creative people, but they feel the need to be like, I want this to entertain me. I want my ideas involved.
Well, and then you also
and that's where things go wrong.
You also get what, sort of Clamp at the end where he's like, oh, this is what people want when he sees Kingston Falls. You just see a product. It's just a product.
Right.
So,
and again, not to sound too pretentious about it, because there are people who are good at both.
Yes, of course.
There's your James Camerons. And like, who am I, Yeah. And that's, there are good artists, bad artists, etc. But there is a need for that separation that it feels like we don't have enough of anymore.
I agree.
Yeah. And I'm afraid the result will be that a lot of pop culture during this era will vanish in time because it just won't be compelling.
Yep.
Yeah. Gremlins 2. Gremlins 2 won't vanish, Tom.
G2, baby. No.
Yeah.
Gremlins 2 will stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Like Rembrandt.
Because it's art.
Yeah.
It's art, folks.
Yep. It is. Fuck. It really is.
It is. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It sounds funny. I'm sure people who pressed play on this podcast thought we were just going to talk about how batshit it is. And it is.
But it's intent. It's all intentional.
It is. It means something.
Yeah. It's not just
holy shit
chaos for chaos's sake. It is all very intentional.
Yeah. God damn. All right. I feel like I'll just be repeating myself now.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
All right. Vincent, thank you so much.
Yes. Indeed.
Yeah, this was a good idea on your list, and we chose it off your list. And I'm glad we watched it and talked about it.
Me too.
I think we learned a lot. Listen, folks, we have a Patreon because we need money.
We do.
Because we're bad business people, because that's not what we know. That's not the life we know.
It's not a skill we possess.
Yeah. So if you go to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, we would love it if you could give even a little bit for $5 a month. $5 1 month, you get access to a bunch of exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. Those are all available, every single one, for $5 a month. You can kick in a little more and watch movies with us every Friday night, which we do almost every goddamn Friday night. And we have a bunch of tiers where you can get custom podcasts and stuff like that. So check it out.
Yeah. We also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store where we have t-shirts.
Merchandising.
Yep. T-shirts,
we should make dolls
mugs,
of us. Stickers,
posters. Yeah, we should. We should make little suction cup dolls of ourselves.
Yeah.
I haven't done that. We should do that.
Or like rubber fuck dolls, Tom.
Well, yeah, but still with suction cups.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you can
lots of suction cups.
So you can fuck them while you drive.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Fuck them while you drive. Yep, that'll be on the box.
Yeah, be on the box.
Yep.
Little picture of us giving a thumbs up.
Yep.
Nope.
Let's just make fuck toys for the car.
Exactly. That's a need. Yeah. That's a need that's not currently being filled, Dave.
Exactly. That's a good idea.
Yep.
See, we're great at business.
We're such good business guys.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, time to go dominate the world of business.
Yep.